Hi guys, Steve Buchenroth from Midwest Corporate Air back with you. Going to go ahead and go through another boring endorsement video. I'll try to do the best I can to keep you awake to get you through the private pilot endorsements. I'll go kind of quick and I'll try to help you the best way I can. So the first endorsement that we've got to give a private pilot. Now they don't necessarily have to be in this order. This is kind of the typical way we would do it. But the first endorsement we're going to give a private pilot is we're going to come in there and we'll give them a Alpha 32, also known as a 61105 or 61 and a 61103. This is the aeronautical knowledge endorsement, oftentimes called the aeronautical knowledge test endorsement. But there's two things we have to do. It's really important that we understand this is not just endorsing them to take an aeronautical knowledge test. This is a two-part endorsement. As a two-part endorsement, we have to teach them, we have to make sure we certify that they have received the 14 areas of knowledge. So if we look in our FAR aim, we look at this under 61105, we're going to see knowledge areas 1 through 13 double I. That adds up to being 14 knowledge areas. We have to make darn sure they understand these 14 knowledge areas. And if they understand them properly, like we expect that they will when we're done, then the second part of this endorsement says they're prepared now for the written knowledge test. So let's go and read this endorsement real quick. It says, I certify Tim has received the required training in accordance with 61105. That's the 14 areas that we've got to teach them in. Period. Then it says, I have determined they're prepared for the private pilot knowledge test. Two-part endorsement, 14 areas, cleared to go on the written. That is the Alpha 32 61105 endorsement. Now, there's another way to get there. And let's say we didn't teach them all that, but they went to John and Martha King, or they went to some other school online and they got the training online. Well, we don't want to certify that we taught them because we didn't. The John and Martha, or whoever it was, taught them. So the endorsement goes all the way back. I'm going to scroll through this 6165J and go all the way to Alpha 82. And this endorsement is for someone who did their training on a home study curriculum, like the King School or Sporties or any number of these. I think there's Flight Insight. There's a bunch of them out there. And this says, I certify I have reviewed the home study curriculum. And it goes on to say, I've determined he or she is prepared for the name knowledge test. Now, again, I don't think you have to put in they, as the 6165 has now changed to, but again, you're certifying that you have reviewed the home study curriculum, and you've determined that they're prepared for the knowledge test. So that would be the Alpha 82, prepared for the named knowledge test because you reviewed the curriculum. That's the Alpha 82. Remember, it's either an Alpha 32 or it's an Alpha 82, depending upon how they did it. Now, again, that's probably the order. The first thing is you're going to turn around and say, hey, I taught them the knowledge areas and they're ready for the test, or John and Martha taught them the knowledge areas and I reviewed it and they're not ready for the test. Then we go on to Alpha 2. That Alpha 2 is review of deficiencies identified on the Airman Knowledge Test. So what we're really doing there is making sure that they have the satisfactory knowledge in the areas they were deficient. So what we're doing is we are reviewing the knowledge test with them. And so we look at the questions they missed. We're going to retrain on those questions and then sign them back, or then endorse them that they have reviewed these test questions. So that's where that endorsement comes from. The third endorsement that we're going to go through with now is known as the Alpha 33 endorsement. It's the 61107 and the 61109. But on this Alpha 33, there's three things. This is a three-part endorsement. Three things that we are going to do. The one of them is going to be we're going to certify they received the 12 areas of training for proficiency. 12 proficiency areas. If you look at that FAR AIM book and you look at 61109, there's 12 proficiency areas. Guess where else you'll find these 12 proficiency areas? In the ACS. The ACS is a large expansion of the 12 proficiency areas that are just simply listed as 12 items in the FAR on 61107. Now, the second thing or the last thing you're doing is you're certifying they meet the aeronautical experience requirements. Okay, so 61105, you're saying that they understand the that they've been trained in the 12 areas of proficiency. That's in 107, and then 61109, they meet the experience. The last thing is they are prepared to take the practical test. And then the last endorsement that comes in here is 61139, the Alpha one, that says they've received training in the previous 2 calendar months. Now, that's not 60 days. If they received their training on January 1, they're good all the way out to March 31. So you could get into 90 days a few times. So if you want to take a check ride in March, they had to meet that training in either January or February. And for a private pilot test, that's of course 3 hours of time in the airplane. And the other thing that you're seeing there is they're prepared for the practical test. So in summary, you give them either an Alpha 32 or an 82. If you did the training, you give them an Alpha 32. If Sporty's, John, or Martha, any of these companies did the training, you give them an Alpha 82 after you reviewed the curriculum. And again, you're going to give them you're going to review their deficiencies with them after they took that written test, grade it to 100%, and then you're going to turn around and make sure that you reviewed the proficiency areas with them, the 12 areas of proficiency, and then you're going to make certain that you also made certain that they also have met the aeronautical experience requirements. And then last of all, in that Alpha 1, you're saying that you trained them 3 hours, as far as the private pilot goes, in the previous 2 calendar months, and they're ready for the practical test. I hope this helps you out. Have a great day. We'll talk to you later.